Welcome to the Leather and Lumber Podcast presented by Lynx Baseball. Lynx Baseball is sponsored by Marucci, the official bat of Major League Baseball. Marucci, honor the game. And we are off. My name is Jon Link. I'm the president of Lynx Baseball and your host for the Leather and Lumber Podcast. A little bit about my background, 12-year professional baseball player, played in the major leagues. Played college baseball, Virginia Commonwealth, and Bluefield College. Started out as a youngster, like everyone, playing baseball, T-ball, 4 years old, right out there. No fences, parents running everywhere. It's like herding chickens, right? Playing T-ball. Graduate to Little League, then into high school. In high school, we didn't have travel baseball. We had Legion baseball. We had the Babe Ruth house leagues. We had the senior leagues. There was no such thing as travel baseball when I was in high school. I played American Legion for a few years. And then my last year of quote, summer ball before I went to college, I got to play on my first showcase team, which kind of defeated the point since I was already committed. I was drafted that summer by the Montreal Expos in the 45th round. And I was out on the trail trying to get my contract, trying to get a professional contract to go play professional baseball. I was offered a contract by the Expos. I decided to go to college. In hindsight, not the greatest decision on my part. I wasn't a great student. I didn't like school, but I went anyway. I went to Virginia Commonwealth for 2 years, played for Paul Keyes, legendary coach in Virginia. Didn't like school, didn't like the city of Richmond. It just wasn't my place, right? There's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't like it. Called a buddy of mine from summer ball and said, "Hey man, I'm looking for a place to go. Do you got anything?" And he said, "Yeah, why don't you go to Bluefield?" And Bluefield really changed my life. From a pretty large suburb of Washington, D.C. in Chantilly, Virginia. I think we graduated 3,000 people in my senior class. There's 3,000 people in my high school. We graduated about 998 in my senior class. Come from a really big school and end up first in Richmond at VCU and then in a really small town of Bluefield, Virginia. Bluefield actually has a Virginia and a West Virginia separated by the train tracks. We were on the Virginia side. I met Coach Billy Berry. And Billy changed my life. I was a good baseball player. I had a good work ethic. I had a cannon for an arm. But Billy really changed me. He really helped me grow up and become a better person. I was drafted in the 26th round by the San Diego Padres, signed a day later, and my professional career began. I played for the Padres for 2.5 years. I was traded at the trade deadline for Rob Makoviak, traded to the White Sox, pitched in the White Sox organization for 2.5 years. And then in the offseason of 2009, I was traded to the Dodgers for Juan Pierre. Made my big league debut with the Dodgers on April 20th in Cincinnati, 2 scoreless innings. Promptly sent down right after the game. They were looking for a starter. I'd thrown 2 innings already. They were going on a big road trip and needed another starting pitcher. So they sent me down. 10 days later, I was called back up, pitched against the New York Mets in Citi Field when it was brand new. Sent down after that. Overall that season, I had 6 call-ups. I think that's a Dodgers record still. Myself and Blake DeWitt, I believe, have that. 6 times up and down throughout the season. It was basically the shuttle from Albuquerque, their AAA team, to the big leagues. And I rode it often that summer. After the Dodgers, I went and played for the Orioles, then went to the Marlins, had a couple stints in Indy ball, ended up with the Tigers, back to Indy ball, back to the Marlins, and then back to Indy ball for my final hurrah in Wichita. Played for the Wichita Wingnuts. had a great experience there. Nate and Josh Robertson, those guys are top notch. Kevin Hooper, great manager, great coach. Thoroughly enjoyed everything about Wichita that I experienced. My last year in Wichita, I got to play for Pete Rose Jr., which was a treat. Considering his dad was my baseball idol growing up, I got to meet Pete Sr. During one of his visits to Wichita, and it was just the biggest thrill for me to be able to do that. That summer, I blew out my shoulder, had surgery, tried to make it back, and it blew out again, probably 10 months into my recovery. I hung him up and I started coaching. A guy by the name of Rob Katz got me into coaching. He introduced me to David Holder. David ran the North Carolina Developmental Baseball Group here in Raleigh. Started coaching for those guys. Had a 14U team. Took them all the way up till they graduated. Made a transition. Another organization we merged with. And really didn't like the way that new organization did things. They will remain nameless, as will most other organizations on this podcast. So, didn't really like where things were going, didn't like the way they did business. I met a coach by the name of Manny Beltran. Manny and I hit it off. Manny's a good baseball guy. He did things for the right reasons, and he and I see eye to eye on a lot of things. Manny's best friend, Jonathan Red, we got to talking, the three of us, and we decided, you know what, let's kind of do our own thing. Let's start our own thing. At some point, the off season before, I went out to a Major League Baseball Players Association alumni event. Met a couple guys for the Dodgers in the scouting department. Thought that I might want to be a scout, so I went out to this. Basically, it's a career summit, if you will, for the guys that are newly retired and still looking for other avenues to pursue in the game of baseball. So I thought I might want to be a scout. Turns out that wasn't really my path. So I met these guys for the Dodgers, got in touch with them. They actually put me in touch with the area scout for the Dodgers, Jonah Rosenthal. Jonah's a very good friend of mine now. Back then, just an acquaintance, but I helped him do some stuff with the Dodgers as an associate scout. Ran his workouts for him, his pre-draft workouts, did some cool stuff, went on some scouting trips with him, and was talking to Manny and Red one day and said, "Hey guys," I said, "I got an idea. Let's do a scout team, right? I'm an associate scout. Jonah's our head guy. Let's do a Dodgers scout team." They liked the idea. I presented it to Jonah. Jonah was all for it. Went to the Dodgers upper management, and the Dodgers scout team was born. We were the first Dodgers scout team, the only Dodgers scout team there for a while. We did it for 4 years. It was a great 4 years. 155 of our players in college. Started out with just 2 teams. We grew eventually to 14, and then we graduated a few, and then we got the news that the Dodgers, wanted to do some things differently. So we made a transition. We weren't going to use their name anymore. It was a pseudo messy situation, but I think it turned out for the best. So I'm down at an event, at our last event of the fall, and I'm talking to the team about it, my 2026 Dodger scout team, talking to those guys about it. And I said, "Hey boys, look, we might not be able to use the Dodgers name anymore. We're going to have to rebrand. We're going to have to change some things. What do you boys think that we should call ourselves?" And Cade Hudman, God love him, he goes, "Coach, why don't we just name it after you?" Originally, I wasn't a big fan of that. This organization isn't about me. It's about the boys. It's about us as a group. But Cade called Manny, and Manny liked the idea. Manny put it up to a board vote, and here we are, Lynx Baseball. I did not let them spell it the same way that I spell my last name. We spell it Lynx. We have our our mascot logo, the big cat, and Lynx Baseball was born. Marucci came on shortly after, about 2 weeks after that. We signed a sponsorship with Marucci. So we are fully sponsored Marucci Franchise Club, and things are going great. Was out at the Marucci Summit a few weeks ago. Those guys are first class in everything that they do, and I cannot wait to see where this partnership takes us. The podcast. So the podcast for us, we're going to have coaches, players as guests. We're going to have some of our board members help me out with this. I will be the host the majority of the time. We will have other guys step in, do these as well. Looking to put this out twice a week, looking to talk all brands of baseball. We're going to talk high school baseball. We're going to talk travel baseball. We're going to talk professional baseball, maybe even a little college baseball. My background in professional baseball for 12 years, I got a lot to say. I got a lot of takes. I got a lot of hot takes, as do some of our other guests, and our other members of the organization. We're looking at twice a week right now, Monday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, something like that. We're going to put these things out. We're going to go over a lot of stuff with our organization. We're going to introduce our organization top to bottom, how we do things, how we operate, how we run. We're doing this podcast to get ourselves out there a little bit. We're doing it to promote our current and former players in their endeavors in baseball, the guys in college, the guys that are done. This is a very player-centric organization, very family-oriented. We have deep ties to our players, both past and present, and their families. We try to support them in every way that we can through the game of baseball. That's what we're doing. That's how we're going to do it. Make sure to like, listen, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.